Hello there, fellow you Boobanians. It's me, it's Uncle Murray again. And this here video is a follow-up to my last video about evolution and how you can either have evolution or you can have the Bible, but you can't have both because the two ain't compatible. And oh my days, that video is the most popular video I ever made. Because you see, my videos, they don't usually get very many views. Because I only got about 65 subscribers, so I only get about 30 or 40 views, you know. Sometimes more, sometimes less, but not usually over 100. But that last one, well, the last time I checked, it had about 1,000 views. And I know, they're still small potatoes, but for me, that's huge, you know.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
But anyways, in that last video, I said that if you ask 100 people what evolution is, that you'll probably get about 150 different answers. Because if you say, well, this is what evolution is, somebody else will say, no, that ain't what evolution is. This is what evolution is. And then down in the comments, a bunch of the people said, no, that ain't evolution. This is what evolution is. I just thought that was kind of funny. But you know, some of them had a point. When I was talking about the Big Bang, I said that it was part of evolution. But they said, no, that's cosmology, and that's a separate field of study. And they're right. The Big Bang and the origin of the universe and all of that is part of cosmology. But there's cosmology and biology and chemistry and geology. But people usually just refer to all of them things as just science. And so what I was doing was just taking all of them things that explain how we got here and was just calling all of them evolution. Because to me, it don't make no sense to talk about evolution without talking about the origin of the universe. Because like I said in that video, that's like talking about all the different kinds of automobiles and how they've changed over the years, but saying that talking about the factories and the workers and how the factories got there in the first place is a different subject. But just because most people want to split cosmology apart from evolution, that don't mean that makes sense. So I looked up the definition of evolution in Webster's 1828 dictionary, and here's what it says. Evolution, the act of unfolding or unrolling. 1. A series of things unrolled or unfolded as the evolution of ages. And you say, well, that's an old definition. You know, what's a newer one? Okay, well, I went to the Google and I searched for evolution definition, and it says this is from Oxford. And here's the first two definitions. Number 1, the process by which different kinds of living organisms are thought to have developed and diversified from earlier forms during the history of the earth. Number 2, the gradual development of something, especially from a simple to a more complex form. And so going from nothing, or something real tiny, to a big bang, to an expanding space with gases, to stars, to planets, to Earth with a bunch of chemicals on it, to life, and then to a gazillion complex forms of life, well, I would consider that whole process, the universe, going from a simple to a more complex form. You know, evolution. But if you ask me, all of this is plain semantical hopscotch. And sometimes semantics is real important. But in my opinion, this ain't one of them times. Because what do you call something a jacket or a coat or a blazer? None of that matters if you just want somebody to hand you something to put on because it's chilly outside. But all of this is missing the forest for the trees, as the kids say. A lot of the comments was focused so much on the definition of evolution that they missed the points I was trying to make. And the first point was that if evolution is a real thing, from the origins of the universe all the way down to us, then some kind of intelligent designer or God must have gotten the whole ball rolling. Because nobody ain't been able to tell me how something can come from nothing. You know, how something that don't exist can bring itself into existence. Well, there was one fella that tried explaining it a little bit, but it didn't make much sense to me. This one guy, real nice fella, real polite and everything, you know, I like the guy. He said, using only 8 ingredients, they created cells from nothing. But here's the problem. 1, if you start with 8 ingredients, then you ain't making something from nothing. You're making it from 8 ingredients. And 2, you can't do an experiment to create something from nothing, because in order to do the experiment, you'd have to start from a state of nothingness, which, in case you haven't noticed, don't presently exist. But even if it did exist, there couldn't be nobody around to conduct the experiment. And 3, even if you could somehow create something from nothing in a controlled environment, all that would prove is that intelligence is needed in order to create something from nothing. But I'm getting off the subject again. I said that if evolution is true, it must have had some kind of intelligence behind it. But that intelligence couldn't be the God of the Bible. And so that part of the video was just for people who believe that the Bible and evolution can be compatible. Namely Christians who believe in evolutionary creationism, you know, that God used evolution. But there is one kind of evolution that I do believe in, and that's what lots of people call microevolution. And that's small changes within a species, like the beak of a certain bird gets longer or shorter or something like that, Yeah, I believe in that because we can kind of see that happen. But another kind of evolution is what a lot of people call macroevolution. When a fish changes into a bird over time. Well, I don't believe in that because you can't see that happen. And they say that they got proof that it happened, but all the evidence that I've seen don't seem to make no sense to me. Because lots of things change over time, but they're still the same kind of thing, Lots of people say that bacteria changes into a completely different kind of bacteria, but it's still bacteria. But you don't gotta believe what I believe. You can believe whatever you want to believe. I'm just saying what makes sense to me and what don't make sense to me, and you can take it or leave it. But I think that the most important thing when it comes to the stuff I've been talking about or anything else is that you listen to what people got to say, and then you read about it, and you study it, and you ask questions, and then you come to your own conclusions. Even if that means that everybody else on the planet disagrees with you and everybody thinks you're a loony bird. Don't let people tell you what to think. Learn how to think and how to figure out what you think for yourself. Because people are just people, and people got imperfect minds, and the only thing that could have a perfect mind is God. But even God don't expect you to just follow him like a zombie. In Isaiah 1:18, he says, "Come now and let us reason together." And Jesus used logic and reason in his teachings. And God ain't going to force you to follow him. You can follow who you want to follow or do whatever you want to do. There'll be consequences for it, but he ain't going to force you to be with him if you don't want to be with him. And that's called free will. And that's why there's so much bad in the world. And I'm going to do another video on that, because people ask, hey, if there's a God, or if God is so great, then how come there's so much suffering in the world? Well, and that's a real good question and a real important question. But I ain't going to answer it now because, like I said, I'll talk about that in another video. Okay, well, I appreciate all of you who left a comment for doing that, because even if we disagree, I could still like you, and I hope you can still like me. Because like I always say, I'm kind of smart, but I'm also stupid. And if we don't talk to each other and listen to each other, then how are we going to understand each other, right? And I'm still trying to get this whole YouTube thing going, so I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe to my channel, because it don't cost you nothing, right? And give me a thumbs up and share this video with all of your pals. And you can find me on the Faceplace, too. Yeah. I just got one of them Twitter accounts, but I ain't never had one of them, so I ain't got no idea how it works yet. But I'll leave links to all of that stuff in the description down below. Okay, so that's the end of the video, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video, okay? All right, bye-bye.